Are you a veteran or active service member and you're thinking about using your VA eligibility to purchase a home? Well, in this video, I'm going to introduce Becky Hughes, the newest member of our team. She's actually the VA queen if you check her out on social media, so make sure you look her up. She's going to be sharing with you 5 things that you need to know about VA loans. Becky, thanks so much for hopping on with us.
Of course.
Can you share with the people why you love VA loans so much?
VA loans are very special to me because I got into the mortgage business when my husband retired from the Air Force in 2016, and he became a veteran. And he said to me, why don't you become a mortgage officer? And I said, well, why not? Let's give it a try. And I started the business and absolutely loved helping veterans because I found that I knew their language, I knew what they were going through, and I knew how to help them in a way that nobody else could.
Isn't it true that a lot of veterans, they're pretty unfamiliar with the entire process in itself and how to use their eligibility, right?
Yes, it's very common because, a lot of them are using their first time, they're buying their home for the first time, they are young, they're moving out away from home at 18 and have no idea what they're doing. Yeah. So I love that part of the job, especially because I can guide them, treat them, with respect that they deserve, and get them into the right programs that they need, and do what's best for their interest, and not just try to close a loan.
Awesome. So Becky, give us the 5 things that we need to know, and that all of our viewers, and especially those that are, again, active service members, and those veterans out there that maybe they don't know too much about the VA loan, that we can share with them and help them out today.
So a VA loan is a government-backed loan, and it offers highly competitive rates, and you have a chance to get approved with lower FICO scores. Usually it's anywhere between 580 to 620, and there's no down payments. There is what is called a funding fee, and this is the way that the VA, the Veterans Department, guarantees the loan. The funding fee is sometimes waived if the veteran is disabled or has received the Purple Heart.
Gotcha. And that's any sort of benefits, right? VA, they don't have to be 100% disabled, right?
No. If they're receiving any percentage of disability a month, that funding fee is waived, yes, yep. And it will save thousands. Number 2, you can get approved with a lower FICO score on VA loans, typically starting at 580 to 620, whereas conventional, it's 620 to 640. Gotcha. And also, you can get approved with a higher DTI, which is the debt to income ratio.
I think that's one of the bigger factors, right, that a lot of people have a misconception on, thinking that, I know there's a lot of myths and stuff online that you guys might be reading and seeing, you have to be at a 41% debt to income ratio or 43. On FHA and VA loans, you can actually go to a higher DTI. Correct. So that's why it's super important when you're working with a lender to make sure that they understand how to calculate your debt to income ratio, because there's little things like that I've overcome in the years that I've been doing this, where I've talked to people and they said, well, this lender can't qualify me because I am at a 45% DTI. They come over to us and they're doing a VA loan and we can actually exceed 50% sometimes, right?
Yes, I've seen up to 70% sometimes, yeah. Which is shocking. But
so make sure you get with someone who understands how to structure your deals, because that could be literally a make or break thing in between you buying a home and renting. And number 3, Becky, what do you got for us?
Number 3, no down payment. This is the most important thing. You can get approved and buy a home with a 0 down payment, but you still are required to pay closing costs.
And of course, the realtor can always negotiate that for you, correct?
Correct. Or there is also down payment assistance programs that help with veterans that help pay their entire closing costs. And sometimes they can even get their EMD refunded, their earnest money deposit.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I also want to point out too is, with as competitive as the market is right now, I hear listing agents sometimes this just drives me crazy, thinking that VA loans are bad or they're weak because it's a no money down loan.
Correct.
Right?
They don't think the veteran has any teeth in the game.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the strength of the client. It's the fact that they earn the right to use that loan, right? And we've qualified them to where they can actually purchase.
Correct. Yeah, and sometimes them not paying that down payment is actually a better offer, because they may have money now put aside to pay over appraisal value or to come out of pocket and purchase the price, up the purchase price.
You have a little more flexibility.
Correct.
With how they can structure the deal. That's awesome.
Okay, so here was a story. I was at an open house one time, and a veteran walked in, and he was stating that he was not going to use his VA benefits because he didn't want to pay his funding fee. Well, I stayed in touch with him and I showed him the benefits, because he was going to go conventional and he was going to put more money down. And I said, well, you're already putting money down with the conventional. I said, if you put a little bit more money down, it'll cut your funding fee. And the whole time he wanted to go conventional because he thought that was the best option for him. And I saved him money by monthly on his, because again, you get a lower interest rate with VA most of the time. And he lowered his funding fee. So I had to educate the borrower. And a lot of the times it's because the veterans, they don't know.
Right.
And the lenders they're working with don't know either.
Yep.
So.
And I think that just goes back to a lot of, my posts, and if you, some of you that have been watching me for a while, we always talk about strategy. It's not always the interest rate. It's not always what maybe even you perceive is a good deal to yourself if the lender that you're working with isn't showing you at least 2 to 3 other options. And I think for us, that's one thing here at Loan Depot with a lot of our team, we always go through those options with our clients, because you might think that conventional deal is the best deal, right? But hey, you could actually show them a side-by-side that this VA offer is actually better for him.
Yeah, it's better payment or better down, closing costs, whatever. You just have to speak to them and figure out what is their and what's the best goal for them at the end.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So number 4, the funding fee. You hear about it a lot with VA loan.
All the time. A lot of people complain about it.
Yeah, well, it's basically the same thing as FHA, 3.5% down, but instead it's now placed into the back of the loan. And it's something you also have to consider when you're buying a home, because it's added to the total purchase over the purchase price of the home. So you're already exceeding market value sometimes with your VA loan.
Gotcha.
And the only way, again, to avoid that is if you put a 5% or 10% down, which lowers the funding fee.
Got it. Or if you have any sort of service-connected disability, right?
Correct.
Then you don't even have to worry about
Yep,
that.
or you're a Purple Heart recipient.
Gotcha.
Then it's waived.
So guys, again, run the numbers. This is what I stress in so many of the videos that we do, because a lot of times you might hate the thought of the funding fee, but if you don't know how it actually works out on paper, it's hard to make that decision. And again, we compare it to an FHA loan where the upfront mortgage insurance is financed into the loan. Remember, you're not necessarily having to come out of pocket with that money. It's financed into your loan because there's such a low down payment that's going along with the mortgage. So that's the trade-off.
This is how the Veterans Department keeps the option for veterans to purchase their home.
Absolutely.
That's how they guarantee the loan and help with future losses of veterans foreclosing on their home. It's the cost we gotta pay, but it helps with no down payment.
No down payment,
Yeah.
right? You can't beat that to own a home.
Exactly.
It's insane. So number 5, what is our last thing that everyone needs to know about the VA loan today?
Oh, there's so many misconceptions as to what you can and can't do as a veteran. You can have 2 veterans on one loan using dual entitlement. You can have 1 veteran and a non-spouse on a loan. A lot of people don't think you can do this. It is possible, but the non-spouse, the non-veteran, will be required to pay their portion. So there's numbers that are in play, but it is possible. You can have 2 VA loans at once. You can have multiple, as long as your entitlement is remaining to cover the next home. You can have a energy efficient mortgage. You can have a reno mortgage, which I can't go into yet. I will be learning more, and this will be my next thing.
That's a renovation loan, just so you guys
Yes.
know. We actually have that program here at Loan Depot where you can actually finance the cost of repairs and renovation work into your mortgage up front.
And close and have all the repairs done after. I'm learning more, and I will be the Las Vegas VA reno queen after this. Other varieties of loans, there's so many options.
Can you go up to $1 million?
Yes, there is no max. There is no max as long as you can get qualified to purchase a VA loan. There's no max, which is another misconception. They think that there's county limits, and no, there is not. It's just there's so many different ways to structure a VA loan, and I love learning about the different ways that we can support the veteran and make their needs. Oh, here's another one that I was just learning. So when you work with lenders that don't know, like right now I'm working with a gentleman who purchased a home with his brother in California, and they went conventional because they were told they couldn't use his entitlement. They could not do the non-veteran with the veteran. Well, we're refinancing him out of this VA loan so he can purchase a home here and use up his whole entitlement in Las Vegas.
Gotcha.
But again, they weren't told when they started this process that they could go VA.
Yeah. So a lot of misconceptions, guys. If you're watching this, and again, if you've heard something that conflicts with what we're telling you, by all means, reach out to us. This is the only way we can help you. You can always send me an email below. I can get you in touch with Becky. She can answer your questions. We're here for you guys. We want to make sure you get the right information so you can take advantage of the low interest rates that we're seeing right now and the ability to purchase a home with no money down.
Yes. Build wealth as a veteran.
So
through
there
real
you have
estate.
it. 5 things that you guys need to know about the VA loan. Again, thanks so much for watching. If you have questions, send me an email. I'd be happy to help you guys out with your VA questions or any loan question for that matter. And of course, we always appreciate you watching, subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.